What's up YouTube, it's Authentic. Today I've got a new video for you guys. It's about the 6th rotation of Hydra. Now I have a lot of people asking me, with Wrath and Torment in the lineup, is it best to go back to a Geomancer Inquisitor team, or should we stick with Duchess to Hanorach Sifi Krisk team? I've already one keyed on Nightmare and I one keyed on Brutal, so I'll be able to break down for you which team is best to run and which team is the one to go for depending on which champions you have on your account. So let's jump right into it. So addressing this straight away, in my opinion, is best for you to run Duchess, Krisk, Sifi to Hanorach if you have those champions on your account. If you don't, then you can go to the Inquisitor Shamael with Geomancer team. What you need to make a successful Duchess team, as long as you have Duchess, you only need Krisk or to Hanorach to work around fears and everything else. So Duchess with one Krisk or one to Hanorach works perfectly fine. That's actually the team I ran. I ran a Duchess to Hanorach, I then ran a Venus, Geomancer, I ran a Royal Guard and another Royal Guard. Duchess obviously doing the Veils, then we have the cleanses coming from to Hanorach if a fear does get through. We have Venus in Relentless for me. We also have a Geomancer in Reflex. I have a Royal Guard in Savage Perception and I have a second Royal Guard in Relentless with Accuracy. Now I do like a little bit of accuracy on my Royal Guards because I only have a decreased speed single target on the A1 from to Hanorach. So it's hard to keep decreased speed AoE, so I like one of my Royal Guards being in Accuracy so I can get the decreased speed. I believe I ran both of my Royal Guards with Accuracy. As you can see, it has the Perception on there, but I believe as long as you have one Royal Guard, the Relentless one particularly, if you have him with Accuracy, it's enough for you to keep the decreased speed AoE down. Now I'll show you a team that you would have to generally run if you don't have these combination of champions. If you don't have Duchess or a Krisk to pair with her or a Hanorach to pair with her, you also can make this team work if you have a Sifi and a Hanorach. So you'll see a Sifi and Hanorach team. I believe one of my clan mates, no, I don't think anybody has run a Sifi to Hanorach team. In my opinion, Sifi to Hanorach team can also work because Sifi has a 50% chance to cleanse fears, and then we have to Hanorach cleansing 100% of one debuff from all of your allies. So as long as you keep block debuffs from Sifi up, you can then have to Hanorach cleansing that fear off, which cannot be blocked or resisted. So Sifi and Hanorach can work together as well. If you don't have these champions, I'll show you what you can then run. I ran a key on Brutal, which doesn't use these champions, it actually uses the Inquisitor team. So let me show you that team now. So this is the team I ran. Geomancer in lead, Royal Guard in second lead. We then have Sifi for the revive, block debuffs and increased speed. We have Skull Lord for decreased attack and mischief bait, and then we have Ugo for decreased defense, block buffs and also healing, and then we have Inquisitor cleansing and boosting turn meter of our lead. So it is a pretty generic team. I don't really think I can tell you guys anything that you don't know about this team. Everybody knows how it functions. The turn meter boosting from Inquisitor and the cleansing goes on to, it cleanses AoE and then puts the turn meter boost on whoever is in the team lead. So it would go to Geomancer. If Geomancer is not around, then it'll go to Royal Guard. So that's the turn meter boosting. And Skull Lord, I've made a video before of how he's probably one of the best mischief baits outside of Krisk, because he brings decreased attack, so he can help you deal with Wrath 2 or any DPS that comes out. With this team, it is best to run it with a Deterrence Mastery. However, this key was done completely without Deterrence because I wanted to see if we could actually make a one key Brutal team without changing our masteries, and it can be done. Every single key I ran was without Deterrence and I managed to get upwards of 25 million. So I ran it 3 times I believe, and 2 of them, one of them was 26, one of them was 27 million. We got close to one key, but it wasn't one key, so I thought I'll just retry it. So you don't really need Deterrence for this team. There is a Toxic set on Inquisitor, which probably would be better with Deterrence, but then again, if you're not running Deterrence, I would say don't run Toxic neither, because the damage that is coming from the poisons isn't really enough to make it worth, because you're actually ending up doing more damage to Torment through poisons. The idea of the Toxic set is to try and not get decreased defense on Torment. But the problem is, every time Torment takes a turn, he takes the poison and the poisons fall off and there's a gap in the debuff bar. So then you can actually end up putting decreased defense on him. So I wouldn't say run Inquisitor in Toxic. I would say just run him in stats. Don't even run him with too much damage. Just run him with A1, high resistance, high speed, high survivability. if you have a blood shield set on him, he can actually be a mischief bait himself. So a fantastic champion in a tanky sort of role. I wouldn't say running him DPS. I wouldn't run him in DPS. I don't have a blood shield. If I did, I could probably not even run Skull Lord Vargal and just rely on my Inquisitor to be my mischief bait. Outside of that, you just want to burn Decay down first. You want to kill Decay first. Then in my opinion, you either want to burn Wrath if you have enough survivability. If you put burn on Wrath, it just means that he's going to be ticking his passive and his 15 ticks and doing his AoE over and over again. I didn't really opt to go with it for this team because I didn't feel that safe with taking that much damage. If you have maybe like a Krisk team, then you can definitely do it. It's very straightforward. If you have a Krisk team, I would say just burn Decay first and burn Wrath. If you don't have Krisk, burn Decay and then burn Mischief and then burn Wrath third. Try to make sure you have enough survivability, because if you're dying, you're not doing much damage anyway, so you don't really want to get too much damage put out on you. Apart from that, you've got your Royal Guard to break your champion out if somebody gets consumed. You have Ugo for block buffs. He is a little bit inconsistent with block buffs. If I wasn't running Skull Lord Vargal, I could have brought in Lydia, who's a single target block buff, and she's void and she's decreased defense and weaken, so that's another option you can run. But I'll let you guys watch this team. I'll let it run through the end. I'll speed it up for you guys, and at the end I'll come in and talk about the gear sets, the masteries we actually ended up taking, and what kind of stats you're looking for on these champions. So I'll let it run and I'll come in at the end. So this is the final damage screen. As you can see, we did 35.21 million, so quite clear of a one key. One key is 29.4, 29.6. We have Geomancer doing a whopping nearly 17 million damage. We have Royal Guard 11.5 million. Then we have Vargao at 1.7, Ulgo at 1.6, and then Inquisitor did a lot of damage. He did 3.1 million damage. Now, I don't generally like Geomancer doing damage because his damage mainly goes onto Torment, which means Torment dies quicker. So maybe not run the Toxic set that I run on him, especially if you're not going to run the full masteries for deterrence, which I wouldn't recommend changing because the team can perform perfectly fine without it. So I'll show you what gear sets and what stats we're using. So let's jump into the gearing of the champions. So to start with the man of the hour, Inquisitor Shamael. Now I did run him in Toxic set. I wouldn't recommend running him in Toxic set if you're not running deterrence. His poison damage is just adds up onto the damage that happens to Torment, and you want to keep the Torment damage as low as possible, or the damage onto Torment as low as possible. The stats I ran on him for Brutal were pretty strong. I ran him with 50k HP, 2.5k defense, 244 speed. We didn't run crit rate or crit damage, and I tried to run him with 500 resistance so he can resist if there's ever a strip coming out from Mischief onto him. If you have Blood Shield on him, then he's fantastic. A brilliant build for a Blood Shield champion. I'll show you his masteries. He did have War Master. I probably wouldn't take War Master on him. You don't want the damage coming out from War Master because he ends up doing a lot of damage. You can probably run him in deterrence, and the counter attack masteries are fine, but I could have probably gone up to maybe Life Drinker. Life Drinker is a good source of healing for him since he does so much counter attacking. But I wouldn't take too many offense masteries. I would take Deterrence and Retribution. I wouldn't take War Master, not a good mastery on him. And maybe other than Life Drinker, you don't really want to take much other masteries. Also, can look at Geomancer. Geomancer is basically my normal build. Reflex, speed, he was 234 speed, 100% crit rate, 41,000 HP, 2.5k defense, and 300 accuracy is all you need. His masteries, like I said, I don't run deterrence on any of the champions. These are the masteries I took on him. I was testing out Grim Resolve over Heart of Glory. I do think Heart of Glory is slightly better than Grim Resolve because the chances of you being full HP is probably higher than you being 50% low on HP. That's just my opinion. War Master is obviously great on him. You want to take the accuracy masteries. You want to have Arcane Celerity for the turn meter boost, and we want to take the extending Master Hexer, and Sniper's good for decreased accuracy too. So that is my Geomancer. We run Skull Lord. Skull Lord build I've shown before. I'm running him in a Reflex in this team. Not really too important. You don't really need to run any set on him. Since he's pretty easy to build, I kind of just run Reflex on him because why not? Build him with decent amount of HP, decent amount of defense. Crit capped him, gave him a crit damage amulet too because why not? 230 speed is all you need. You want to make sure your Mischief champion is the slowest champion and your buff champion is the fastest champion. So Sifi or Duchess being the fastest champion and your Mischief bait to be the slowest champion on the team, so that they keep the buffs for the longest amount of time, and then whoever's doing your buffs gets the buffs out consistently. We have 500 resistance to resist Mischief, and then we have 300 accuracy to land decrease attack. His masteries, again, similar sort of thing. We've took lasting gifts on him for his strengthen, and then we've taken War Master. We've also taken Grim Resolve. Heart of Glory is just better. So these are the masteries on Skull Lord. Sifi, just high resistance, high speed. I have her in my arena masteries. So 60k HP, 315 speed, and then 532 resistance, a little bit over. These are the masteries I've taken on her. So timely intervention, just she actually has retribution, not deterrence. But these are my arena masteries I generally use on her. Inquisitor we've shown, and Ugo, basically the same build. We have him in Relentless Perception. So his resistance doesn't really matter too much. We didn't really have him enough resistance to resist. 250 speed, 80k HP, and 300 accuracy. And then lastly, we have Royal Guard. I am really starting to like Royal Guards as a decreased speed champion. So if you can get run about 250 accuracy on him, he can land decreased speed in Brutal and Brutal Hydra for you. 100% crit rate, a lot of crit damage, nearly 300 crit damage, 235 speed. Lowish HP, 38,000 HP. Maybe you can push this 45,000 if you wanted to be slightly safer. He did die quite a bit, but we had a reviver, so that's absolutely fine. If he dies, Reviving him with full turn meter with Sifi is absolutely fine too. The only tricky thing is when Sifi, you might have seen in the run a few times, I had revive and I had a champion dead, and I didn't revive because Sifi revives with 2 buffs, and if you don't have your rest of your team with block buffs, increase defense and increase speed, it could be that the champion that you revived is going to get stripped by mischief. So that's something you want to be careful about. If you have both abilities and 1 champion dead, you want to do the A2 before you do the A3, because you don't want your revived champion to be with the most buffs. So that is the team, pretty straightforward. In my opinion, it is a pretty straightforward rotation. It is easier than the last rotation. I know it's still quite difficult and the RNG element is still pretty high, but I still think it's easier than last rotations. But let me know what you guys are running for your teams for this Hydra. If you are running Inquisitor now that you don't have Duchess, Sifi and all of those kind of champions, or if you're sticking with your main teams. So let me know in the comment section down below. If you're enjoying the content, leave a sub, leave a like on the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Peace.